South Africa has a population of 3 million whites, 15 million blacks, 1 million coloreds, and 500,000 Asiatics. Blacks have no vote. There are no blacks in parliament and no blacks in the armed forces. South Africa mines more than 50 minerals and is the world's greatest producer of diamonds, chrome, platinum, and antimony. It is from this solid base of economic, political, and military strength that 3 million whites exercise and maintain exclusive power in South Africa. South Africa's sunshine and wide open spaces and its high standard of living for whites, second only to the standard of living in the United States, are a boon to tourism. This is a black township adjoining Johannesburg. The day has begun at 4 in the morning when the blacks started on the 15-mile journey into Johannesburg to do their chores as domestic servants, factory workers, drivers, messengers, street sweepers, and clerical workers. Under the Group Areas Act, it is illegal for different racial groups to live in the same area. 600,000 blacks live here. During the day, Soweto is almost completely deserted except for children. The parents only come back about 8 or 9 in the evening. Most mothers are doing domestic work, which includes taking care of white children during the day. This has made black parents almost strangers to their own children. 50% of the black children born in South Africa die before the age of 5. Of those who survive, the majority are 2 years retarded in their growth. They are victims of malnutrition, trachoma, which leads to blindness, and kwashiorkor, the most serious deficiency disease. Death comes at an early age here. The average life expectancy for blacks is 34 years. Some of these slums were condemned as long ago as the early 30s as being unfit for human habitation, but they linger on with their pollution and poverty. Sanitation is still primitive. In some places, a borehole latrine is open 4 hours a day. It requires a minimum of £20 a month for a family of 4 to live here. The average earnings of a man-wife team is £16 per month. Sometimes the £4 difference is made up by the earnings of children who go out to work in the city as messengers and newspaper boys. Some children earn a few pennies in the marketplace. They carry baskets for the white madam. These few pennies often hardly suffice for the bus or train fare back to the township. There is free education for all children, except for blacks. 92% of those who attend school are forced to leave by the time they are 13 years old. More than 15% never go to school at all. On education, the government spends £73 on every white child per year and £7 on every black child per year. There are about 60 black pupils per teacher. The black teacher earns less than half a white teacher with the same qualifications. There is free school feeding for all children, except for blacks. A school feeding scheme was extended to cover black children in the late 40s. After a brief run, the scheme was dropped because members of parliament complained that too many black children flocked to school, not to learn, but just to eat. A mug of soup and a slice of bread. The late Prime Minister, Dr. Verwoerd, said that education must train and teach people in accordance with their opportunities in life. In terms of the government's plan for South Africa, he said, there is no place for the Bantu in the European community above the level of certain forms of labor. This is the library of a black high school. The blacks must pay for their own books. For whites, conditions are different. This is the servants' quarters in the same house. The woman's wages are £4 a month. This man is here illegally. He is not allowed to live with his wife, as this is a white area. Only the wife is permitted to live here as a domestic servant to serve the needs of her white employers. Police conduct periodic searches in the suburbs to sniff out those husbands who have sneaked into the white backyards for the night with their wives. Arrest means a fine of £5 and/or a term of imprisonment. The late Dr. Verwoerd once said, "Black children must never be allowed to look on the green pastures where they will never graze." There are hardly any restaurants in Johannesburg with its 1 million inhabitants where blacks can be served. As a result, most blacks spend their lunch hours sitting on the sidewalk, eating, resting, or just whiling away the time. Park benches are for whites only. No blacks are allowed to sit inside the parks. The pass laws are the most effective form of controlling the movement of the blacks and are the basis of the cheap labor system which operates in South Africa. Every black person over the age of 16 must carry a passbook showing work status, tribal origin, police record, and tax receipt. It must be produced on demand. Failure to produce it constitutes a crime. That means one has to carry the passbook on one's person 24 hours a day. When traveling to another area, every black person has to report his or her presence to the authorities within 72 hours of arrival. The effect of this is that no black person can travel, work, marry, withdraw his or her savings, and in fact even get buried unless his passbook is in order. In Johannesburg, with a black population of about 600,000, an average of 1,000 blacks are arrested every day. Those convicted are mostly sold as convict labor to the farmers for periods ranging up to 6 months. There is no minimum wage law for unskilled labor. Employers exploit the fact that work seekers are given only 14 days to look for work. They therefore offer the lowest wage possible, knowing full well that faced with the alternative of endorsement out of an urban area or a low wage, the black man is forced to accept the low wage. All blacks are temporary sojourners in the urban areas. They are not theirs of right. They are there as long as they are needed to serve the needs of the white man. The blacks dare not linger long in the city after work. There is a curfew for blacks in all urban areas which starts between 9 and 11 at night and lasts until 6 the following morning. During the curfew period, all blacks are liable to arrest unless they carry a special pass from an employer stating the reason for their presence in the white area. Therefore, at the end of the day, they must make their long way back to the black township. The townships are 15 to 30 miles outside the white cities and are usually surrounded by fences. The Group Areas Act has in the past forced blacks and Indians out of their homes, which have been newly classified as areas for whites only. Here in Cape Town, it is happening today to the colored population. In District 6, the government has expropriated 1,746 homes and resold them at a profit of about £3.5 million. Durban is a flourishing center for white tourism. It is also the center of the Indian population. The families of these Indian girls work for the sugar estates. Theirs is a life contract. Often, if only one member of the family leaves his work, the entire family is evicted from the land. The Group Areas Act has forced Indians to leave their former homes. They call this place Tin Town. These families are workers on the white man's farm. The wages are paid partly in kind, half a bag of corn, and partly in cash, 15 shillings per month. For payment, the children are allowed to pick the damaged fruit for themselves. These are the fruits, pawpaws, mangoes, and oranges, which make the after-dinner desserts of the Western world. The wages are so bad that most men are forced to take industrial jobs in the cities and on the mines. Therefore, those left on the farm are mostly old men, women, and children. These families live as squatters on the white farm and have to pay a squatter's tax. South Africa produces over 73% of the gold supply of the so-called free world. The 1965 output was 373 million pounds. The sweat of black South African miners, including that of blacks from as far afield as Angola, Mozambique, Malawi, and Southwest Africa, ensures the high standard of living of the white South Africans in the Western world. Suffocating 3,000 feet underground to dig gold in the Transvaal for £5 a month, they are the key to the stability of the major currencies of the Western world. These men are being trained to be boss boys. As boss boys, each one will be in charge of 10 black miners. The miners' contracts are for periods of 12 to 18 months, renewable until such time as the ravages of consumption and crisis make them unproductive for the gold mines. As migrant labor, they have no contact with their wives or with any woman whatsoever for periods of up to 12 months. Here, in these quarters, 36 men share one room. Their bunks are made of concrete. This is Langa, a black township just outside Cape Town. 17,000 men live here without their families. These men work in the factories and the docks around Cape Town. Their families were sent away because they were considered superfluous, the dependents of breadwinners. More hostels, which will house only black workers who are not permitted to live with their families, are being built in Soweto, with the purpose of getting rid of the superfluous family dependence. Most superfluous persons are transported to the homelands. This is done to make black workers a transient labor force. 87% of South Africa's land area is reserved for whites. The remaining 13% is designated as black homelands, Bantustans or reserves. Even this 13% has not yet been made available by the government. Here, the black population is supposed to live off the land. The might of white South Africa is preserved with these weapons, supplied by the Western world. Here is a French Super Frelon helicopter and a Mirage fighter jet. The British Buccaneer, a low-flying ground attack aircraft, highly effective for use against guerrillas. The Impala, manufactured in South Africa on license from Italy, equipped with British Rolls-Royce engines. South Africa denies that she holds any political prisoners except for Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe, president of the banned Pan-Africanist Congress. Sobukwe has spent 9 years in prison, 6 of them on Robben Island, where he was held without trial. He is now under house arrest. The record shows, however, that there are many other political prisoners. Nelson Mandela, serving life imprisonment. Walter Sisulu, serving life imprisonment. Abram Fisher, serving life imprisonment. Ahmed Kathrada, serving life imprisonment. Over 10,000 are now in prison for political crimes, while unknown numbers languish in secret detention without trial in South African prisons. Many have died while under police interrogation. Scores have already been hanged. Begaphansi Vulindlela, sentenced to death. Sadunge Vulindlela, sentenced to death. Patsalo Xhoko, sentenced to death. Mtalatala Xhoko, sentenced to death. Ngolosi Damane, sentenced to death. Light Matrigani, sentenced to death. Bako Gazi Matrigani, sentenced to death. Senzile Jaka, sentenced to death. Lennox Madigani, sentenced to death. Jonathan Sigwagwa, sentenced to death. Johannes Notyawe, sentenced to death. Fanele Matiginxwa, sentenced to death. Tembekile Nyovu, sentenced to death. Tembeni Phelandaba,